Now we'll move on to the morning of July 4th, just another day to the RAF and RCAF wings we're following here, although there would be a lot of Americans still serving in the RAF at this point. In fact, Squadron Leader Brown, who we just saw relinquish command of 441 Squadron, was an American serving with the RAF, and he's going to rejoin the wing a little later on. It's a quiet day in the air, so let's get through the squadron summaries. Number 441, 1 beach patrol and 3 front line patrols were carried out during the day. These patrols were uneventful, although 10 to 15 newly dug-in gun positions were noted at Uniform 1145. Flight Sergeant McMillan was posted to the RCAF R Depot today. And the R Depot it refers to there is a replacement depot. It would have been called a Personnel Dispatch Center. And I remember back in early June we ran into some accounts of pilots being transferred to Warrington. And I wasn't sure exactly what that was referring to at the time, but Warrington is the location of this R Depot. So they're either reporting to work there on staff, processing and indoctrinating new personnel as they come over from Canada or wherever, or possibly re-entering the replacement pool, although I don't think that transfers work that way. I think the transfers, once a pilot was operational, was just unit to unit without going through the R Depot, but, well, more to come. If this comes up again, I'll dig deeper, but that's all that we really need to know about it. More than we really need to know about it, I guess. 442 Squadron records alternately sunny and cloudy, no flying during the day. Goodbyes were said to Flying Officer J.H. Clark on his departure for home. A number of cases of diarrhea are being reported to the MOs, the canned food becoming monotonous, so I guess some of them are starting to live off the economy in modern terms and paying the price. Only flying was 3 test flips. Attendance at a movie, A Night to Remember, was good. A Horsa glider was towed over the camp this evening, and the field next to the marquee was of interest to sightseers. Last night a Dud naval shell plowed in and out and then skidded along the ground. And of course, the fighting is still right here along the coast, and naval gunfire is being used in support of the Army still. And then 443, weather continuing cloudy with scattered showers. Squadron took part in several missions, but no outstanding incidents reported. Aircrew dispersal tent and adjutants and clerks' tent moved to a new location in the center of both flights of aircraft. Old positions off on the outside of aircraft caused too much inconvenience to pilots carrying flying clothing and the distances they had to cover to reach their aircraft from dispersal. And Flight Lieutenant Schenk admitted to station sick quarters with stomach trouble, likely to be there for 3 days, so getting hit pretty hard with dysentery. A very common thing to happen in World War II. Or, well, in a lot of places we visit nowadays if you're not careful. So first up, it mentioned a little bit about the layout of the airfield right there, and let me revisit one of those pieces of imagery that was from the 8th of August, and this was just a weird coincidence, but that set of imagery contains the only overhead shot I know of at least a part of ALG B3. And we can't really get too much detail. It was taken from a very high altitude, I think 29,000 feet. But we can see the runway layout in the middle, the taxiways, and a couple of the aircraft dispersals right here. And it doesn't look like this end of the airfield was really that occupied. I would expect the more administrative areas to be down here, sort of closer to the village for ease of access to the roads and to the village itself. But I'm confident of finding, one way or another, more of these types of images of the airfields that are being worked out of. And I have one more photo up here to look at, but let me go through the descriptions of the individual missions first. And we have up first 441 Squadron on a 0455 patrol. And this is carried out over the Western, Easy, and William areas. And I thought that I had this completely figured out as far as which area was which, and I'm picking up that there are, in fact, 5 different areas: Eastern, Western, Central, and then separately Easy and William, and I think it's going to just be a matter of patience. It's going to be explained in one of these documents as we go. That was followed immediately by 443 Squadron, 0545 to 0705, 6 aircraft dispatched on a bomb line patrol over Lissay 3 hardcore area at 9,000 feet. No enemy aircraft sighted, no flak, 10-10's cloud at 2,000 feet. The squadron gets airborne again at 0840 to 0955, 12 dispatched on an armed recce, penetrated to Argenton, back to Lisieux, to Bernay, and then returned to base. 10-10's cloud at 2,000 feet over the entire area prevented recce from being carried out. Accurate concentration of flak encountered overcon on return, but no damage reported, so cloud was low to the ground. so low, in fact, that it's not practical to go beneath them to look for enemy movements. Now, 441 is up at 0850 on another patrol, and the squadron made an uneventful patrol of the front line, followed by 443 on an armed recce, 1300 to 1430, and 12 aircraft dispatched on armed recce to number 3 area. 8 tenths cloud from 2,000 feet to 10,000 feet prevented recce, again in this case. Enemy aircraft report in 2 localities in Con area, but none sighted. Returned to base after an uneventful mission. And we have reference to an area number 3 that they're patrolling here. There are systems to all of this, and I get the feeling that they're starting to pull some of these flight plans just off the shelf as they go. You know, for example, armed recce to area number 3, and I think we have an armed recce coming up to area number 2 a little later on. And I would love to get my hands on some of the source documents that define that. It does exist, it's just a matter of going through enough information, and not necessarily on the internet. You're not going to find even 1% of what's available out there digitized. It's just a matter, in a lot of cases, of actually visiting, in the case of the RAF, the Imperial War Museum archives, or the UK National Archives. I've never actually done that myself, but the U.S. Army Air Force side of the house, we have the Air Force Historical Research Agency at Maxwell that has all of the records either in physical form or on microfilm. I have visited that location, and it's just a massive amount of stuff that is available to go through. Most of it, unless you're looking specifically for something, will just sort of breeze past, not realizing that, 10 or 15 years later, that document would have been nice to stop and make a copy of. But more and more is being digitized, and it's getting easier to access this stuff without setting aside a week or 2 or more to visit some of these places in person. But anyway, the patrol, 1505 to 1620, the squadron carried out an uneventful patrol of the front line. The position of 10 to 15 newly dug enemy gun positions reported. And we have an exact location right here, and this, just through some coincidence, is one of the few locations that doesn't have good photographic coverage, but that's the exact location right there by the road where these positions were dug in at. And one thing that I've just been sort of doing on my own, I would get so bogged down if I did this every time, but you can actually go in Google Earth, of course, and check out the street view. So if I look out here in this field, this is a ground level view of exactly where those positions would have been. I could spend all day just doing this and never get anything done. So I'm going to resist the urge to do that, as I have been all along here. Next up, we have 2000 to 2120. It's another 441 squadron patrol, and this is a frontline patrol, uneventful, followed by an armed recce by 443, 2025 to 2155. 12 aircraft dispatched on armed recce, GC-23 to area number 2. So we had area number 3 over here to the west. Area number 2 is apparently here in the center, and if I had to guess, area number 1 would be out here in the vicinity of Lasso, but that's just a guess. But 12 aircraft dispatched, patrolled several times at 1,500 to 2,000 feet. 10 tenths cloud extending 4,000 to 8,000 feet prevented recce from a greater height. Very little enemy transport on the roads. 3 vehicles shot up, 1 flamer, 2 smokers, no enemy aircraft, and little flak interference. And I have no exact location. I've just been, when in doubt, putting these locations right there on that road back up to Con. And that wraps up operations for the day. Now I do have this one more image, and this is another one from that 8th August set, and this is just a random shot out here over the channel. I think the pilot just happened to see these B-17s down below and wanted to get a shot. So a formation of B-17s returning to England, and then we can see the shipping channel right down there just below them. So I'm going to wrap up the 4th of July right here and move on into the 5th. It looks like a lot more to look at on that day. So thanks again for watching, and I'll see you next time.